And that's the beauty of the glorious sport called boxing. So let's start off with the middleweight fight between Daniel Jacobs and Peter Quillin. As you can see, Daniel Jacobs got the stoppage over Peter Quillin in the first round of their encounter. He caught him with an overhand right set up with a jab low to pull down Peter Quillin's guard, caught him over the top, stunned Peter Quillin, and then he started a barrage of punches, some of which did not land, most were blocked. And suffice it to say, the next time Peter Quillin tried to flurry, instead of clinching, he tried to flurry his way out, and he got caught with another a hard right to the temple area that caused him to buckle. He was seriously buzzed. It seems as though he regrouped himself as he was looking at Danny Jacobs to engage him. I don't know what was going through his mind. The referee jumped in, stopped the fight. Now, though this fight, in my opinion, was a premature stoppage, I think that Daniel Jacobs has made a serious statement by defeating Peter Quillin in this manner. And though Daniel Jacobs has admitted that, in his opinion, the fight was stopped too soon, and we all know Peter Quillin's pretty strong as well, neither Peter Quillin complained about the stoppage, nor did he talk about the ref stopping the fight too early. So he's willing to accept his defeat at the hands of Daniel Jacobs. I personally would like to see a rematch because I wanted to see how Peter Quillin would react to the fact that Daniel Jacobs, as I said in the pre-fight post, had to make Peter Quillin respect his power. And once he could establish that, he could continue to establish range and distance against Peter Quillin. And I wanted to see if Peter Quillin would respect power, but if he would do something like what Floyd Mayweather did. Now, some people in the announcement section were saying that Peter Quillin, he didn't hold Daniel Jacobs. The thing about it is, he couldn't hold Daniel Jacobs. The first time he did get a hold, the referee separated them immediately, and then he had to, again, cover up, block most of the punches, and then he tried to fight his way out. And as Paulie Malignaggi was saying, Daniel Jacobs basically was doing a whole bunch of flurries. Now, what's interesting about this is that Daniel Jacobs implemented the strategy I was talking about, where you don't stay toe-to-toe with Peter Quillin. What you do is you move. So Peter Quillin was the aggressor during the early part of the round, throwing his jab, measuring his distance, keeping his guard up high. And finally, the fight kind of moved a little bit to the center of the ring, and Daniel Jacobs was able to execute the same thing Shane Mosley and James DeGale did to their opponents. James DeGale did it in the southpaw stance. Shane Mosley did it in the orthodox stance, which is you throw a jab to the body, or you throw a jab low to get the arms to pull down to block the punch, and you come over the top with either overhand right if you're southpaw, overhand left, or a left hook. And you saw James DeGale drop Andre Dirrell with that punch. You saw Shane Mosley stun Floyd Mayweather with that punch. And you now saw Daniel Jacobs stun Peter Quillin with that punch. And that was a beautiful execution once again. Once Peter Quillin was stunned, he had to go into defensive mode. He put his hands up. He put his guard up. Daniel Jacobs was throwing a flurry of punches. He was just flurrying. Paulie Malignaggi says in New York, that's where you're just throwing a lot of punches and you're trying to outpunch your opponent. The only problem I had with Daniel Jacobs was his head as again in the true center. He kept true center quite a lot while he was throwing his flurries. Nonetheless, did a good job of flurrying. This is something you saw Sugar Ray Leonard do to Floyd Mayweather Sr. You've seen this a lot. And this is something that's a strategy where if you flurry a lot, Manny Pacquiao does this, if you flurry a lot, your opponent can get confused with all the punches where they're coming from. And Peter Quillin, instead of trying to clinch, he did try to clinch a bit. Instead of trying to clinch or go low or close the distance on his opponent, what he tried to do was fight his way out. And when you try to fight your way out, you get caught with overhand rights. In this case, he got caught with an overhand right, or kind of slightly like a right hook to the temple area, kind of like what happened with Floyd Mayweather when he tried to hook Shane Mosley with his left hook, and Shane Mayweather caught him over the top with the right hook, and Floyd Mayweather buckled down under. And then Floyd always closes the distance and he clinches you. Peter Quillin stumbled across the ring He was definitely stunned by that. He was starting to regroup again. I wanted to see what would have happened after that, but the fight was stopped. Now, as I said in my prediction, I did not counter Daniel Jacobs in this fight. Now, he ended the fight in a much more succinct, much more bolder way than I expected him to. I expected him actually to go the distance with Peter Quillin and later on in the fight crash him, something like what he did with Caleb Truax, if he could pull the fight out. He was executing, though, the same strategy that I said. Don't stay in front of Peter Quillin. Keep on moving, circling him, and then choosing your spots to approach him and attack him. He did do that. I also noticed that Peter Quillin was doing what I expected him to do, which was he was the pressure fighter. He was using his jab to get at Daniel Jacobs. So pretty much the fight kind of went as I predicted it would go. It stopped a little too soon for my liking. I wanted to see how Peter Quillin would react to Daniel Jacobs' early statement, because Daniel Jacobs was basically making a statement. You're not just going to walk in here on me, okay? You're going to respect me. That's what Daniel Jacobs was setting up. He was also trying to get Peter Quillin out of there, and I wanted to see what would happen, because Peter Quillin did not touch the canvas. And if you don't touch the canvas, if you don't even put a knee down or foot down, it means you're buzzed, and probably another punch will buzz you again, but you're not out of it, okay? Which shows that Peter Quillin was pretty strong. Nonetheless, Daniel Jacobs has gotten the win over Peter Quillin. I'm going to give that. I was wrong again. But this fight, though, was more what I thought it was, a 50-50 fight. That's why it took me a very long time to decide to predict the outcome. I was looking at a lot of different factors before I went into predicting the winner of this fight. But I always said that I had to put in that Daniel Jacobs could win this fight, because I looked at, I never thought of him as a better boxer than Peter Quillin. But I did see him as someone who, if he used movement, he could really work out something against Peter Quillin. And we could see what happened down the stretch. Once again, thought that he wasn't drained to the extent where he was badly damaged and badly injured. I don't know what people were seeing. I thought he looked a little scruffy, but I didn't think he was injured. I also said he would bring it, and he did bring it, right? And he hurt Peter Quillin. He does have good punching power, but it wasn't his punching power so much as it was Peter Quillin didn't expect that shot to come over the top. As Floyd Mayweather didn't expect that shot to come over the top with Shane Mosley. As Andre Dirrell didn't expect that shot to come over the top with James DeGale. So that's what you saw. Now, Jesus Andres Cuellar versus Jonah Oquendo. It didn't exactly go the way I thought it, and the judges' scorecards truly do not reflect what happened in this fight. Actually, Cuellar actually started to fade by round 6, 7, 8. So halfway through the fight, Cuellar started to fade. Cuellar was crashing Jonathan Oquendo. He got him off balance. He knocked him down. The first half of the fight was all Cuellar. He had to suck it up like a true champion. Like I said, he had problems with weight. He needs to move up to super featherweight. He should not fight another fight at featherweight, because he cannot go the distance in these fights. He gets gassed out, and that's because he's shedding too much weight at the weigh-in. So in this case, I thought that Cuellar, he actually was able to get the win. I don't think the fight was as wide as the judges have it. I had it a closer fight. The second half of the fight was actually Jonathan Oquendo's to win. At certain points in the time, you could see that Jonathan Oquendo was in much better condition. And at a certain time, Cuellar was just going through the motions. Jab, left hand, jab, left hand. That's all he was throwing. He was coming up short. And his strategy before was to catch you with the check right hook and the straight left and the check right hook, which was working for him before. He didn't have the energy to be able to do that. And Jonathan Oquendo was beginning to read him and realize, oh, this guy's predictable now. Now, I didn't get to see the Chris Algieri-Eric Bonet fight, but from what I heard from Chris Algieri, Eric Bonet did have a good account of himself. Underrated fighter. Chris Algieri was saying he was trying to stop Eric Bonet. He dropped him in the round 8, and he was trying to go for the kill in round 10, but it just didn't work out. It was a closer fight than expected. Julie Lederman had it 95-94 for Chris Algieri. The other judges had it wider. It was a well-contested fight. Eric Bonet is a tough contender. And, well, not contender, but a tough fighter at welterweight. Chris Algieri gives his props to him. But I always thought Chris Algieri was going to outclass him, so that prediction came out correct. And Heather Hardy versus Naomi Bosquez. I expect Heather Hardy to win that fight. That fight should be going on right now. It's an untelevised bout. Now into some other fights that night. Yuri Foreman was able to defeat Lenoir Dozier in 8 rounds. So he came back, he did his thing, you know. And Marcos Brown, he had a 4th round stoppage against Francisco Sierra. Congratulations to Daniel Jacobs on retaining his WBA World Middleweight title. He got a very, very emphatic win over Peter Quillin, even though I believe they have unfinished business. Peter Quillin's not complaining about the stoppage, so we can't be too angry about it. What I noticed is Peter Quillin seemed to have been promoted by Mayweather Promotions. Though Lou DiBella was the promoter, I noticed Rock Nation was in the corner also of Daniel Jacobs. So maybe Rock Nation getting some sweet revenge over Peter Quillin. But what is funny about the whole thing is Rock Nation, they come in, and you saw Mayweather Promotions as well. And this card, which is on Showtime, both fighters are still promoted by Al Heyman. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But what I can say is that maybe Rock Nation's thinking of doing some business with Al Heyman. And I mean, I'm not going to be mad at that either. I think when they realize Heyman is really fair with business, I would love to see Rock Nation in that mix. Lou DiBella's there. You know, Mayweather Promotions is there. I'm loving what I'm seeing. So, Peter Kid Chocolate gets his first defeat against Daniel Jacobs. Great fight. Daniel Jacobs gets that win he needs, and it was an emphatic win. Congratulations to Jacobs. Keep your head up, champ, Peter Quillin. You know, a lot of people saying, oh, Peter Quillin's not all that, and so on, because of what happened in this fight. But I truly believe Peter Quillin is much more than meets the eye. It's just that in this fight, you know, things happen, and that's boxing. You guys have a great one.